I just want to touch on and talk about some of the settings that I've been using when I'm using this camera right here, to where I'm able to get some of that footage that might look similar to something that you might see out of a movie. So today I'll just be going over my picture profile, I'll be going over my resolution, I'll be touching on my shutter speed and reason why I like to shoot that way. I'll be going over my aperture, I'll be going over my aspect ratio, and I'll be going over my ISO, and I'll touch on some other settings that I use to where I feel like I'm able to get the most out of this camera. I've been having a good time shooting with this camera, and I feel like given the right settings, you can get a whole lot more out of this little guy right here. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn on my Action 6 here. And first and foremost, I like to shoot in pro mode. I just feel like it's the only way I'm able to get the most control out of this camera. So I always go to pro mode where I have access to my exposure, my white balance, color, variable, aperture, and image adjustments. But first and foremost, we're gonna go to my picture profile, my color, and you have two options, D-Log M and normal 10-bit. And normal 10-bit, the quality is good out of the camera. If you're just trying to like run and gun and shoot, but I like to color grade my footage, so I like to go to D-Log M, where I feel like I'm getting the most out of this camera right here, as far as like being able to color grade the footage and get the footage to where I want it to look. Also, it allows me to manipulate colors and bring out some of the colors in a way that will give you more of that filmic look, make some of those colors more vibrant, and make things pop without breaking the image. So for the resolution here, the Dji Action 6 obviously gives you a wide variety of options. You can shoot all the way up to 60 frames at 4K 60 frames in D-Log M, but I always find myself shooting in 4K 24 frames per second. I just feel like I am able to get some of that more cinematic looking kind of footage that gives you some of that natural motion blur and kind of gets some of that nice quality out of the image. For my aspect ratio here, so as we can see here, the Action 6 has different kind of like options that you can have here, but for me, I like to just shoot in custom, to where I can just edit everything in post. I just feel like it gives me the most control, to where like if I'm trying to repurpose my long form footage for short form, I can just do it in post and make those adjustments and not have to reshoot the same content in a different aspect ratio. For the exposure, the cool thing about the Dji Action 6 here is it gives you a range when it comes to your ISO, and depending on like what I'm trying to shoot, like if I'm trying to shoot with a little bit more of intention, depending on my lighting conditions, like indoors, I might have it set up to where it goes from like 100 to 3200. I do believe that the bigger sensor does help with getting better quality. I think if you go like close to like 6400, you might start introducing noise into the image, but I'm comfortable with 100 to 3200 ISO range. And like I said, if I'm trying to shoot with a little bit more intention, I'll go into my adjustments to where if I'm outdoors, I'll just keep it at 100, and if I'm indoors, I'll probably keep it at 800 for the ISO. But for the most part, sometimes I'll just keep it on where I just have it bounce within range, and it's very gradual, it's not jarring at all. So for the variable aperture, for me, I definitely like to keep things in the pro mode. I like to have the most control. So I just keep it fixed at the option that leaves it the most wide open, which is f2.6 when I'm shooting in D-Log custom mode. And I'm just trying to get the aperture to be as open as possible, to where I can get the most light out of this camera. I wish DJI could give you the option to where you can open it all the way up to f2, but I recently learned that with macro lens, you can open it up all the way to f2. You also have modes like starburst mode, where you can get some type of like cool flares, but I usually just keep it to where I can get the most light in the camera. When it comes to white balance, the auto white balance works pretty well on this camera. So 9 times out of 10, I just leave it on auto white balance. But if I know I'll be moving in different lighting scenarios, I always go to like manual mode and dial it in. I just eyeball it. I just look at it. Sometimes I'll just get a white piece of paper and I'll just see how white it looks to the eye. So if I'm indoors with fluorescent lighting, probably like 3700 Kelvin. And then when I'm outdoors, I'll bump it up all the way up to 5700 Kelvin on the white balance. And usually I feel like those settings kind of just give me the best colors out of this camera. I always like dial it back to -1 on the texture, and also do -1 on noise reduction. I just feel like I get the most clean image out of the camera, a natural looking image. I do feel like a lot of these cameras, they lean more heavily towards prioritizing like sharpness, and unfortunately the sharpness kind of gives off that digital look I don't like. So that's why I kind of like have my texture at -1 and my noise reduction at -1. So when we go over to our stabilizations, my go-to is rock steady. Most of the times I enjoy having those like shots that give me a perspective of the viewpoint of my car, kind of that GTA look. Or if I have the Action 6 rigged to my car, I like to just turn the stabilization off. Like if the car is hitting some bumps and is shaking, I feel like it feels more natural than having the car go over bumps and everything's just super clean and stable. I think if you're trying to get a perspective shot, for me personally, I feel like that's the way to go, and it looks the best. So I just have the Rocksteady off if I have it mounted on my car or inside my car. But if I'm just kind of hand holding the camera and walking around with the Action 6, I will probably leave it on Rocksteady. Finally, the last thing is gonna be my modes here, like when it comes to like dewarp, natural, wide. I don't shoot too much with the wide. I like to go standard, which keeps my line straight. I think with these cameras, the one thing I like about these cameras, like even your standard wide, the lines are pretty straight, and I like getting some of those nice clean leading lines in my frame. So that's why I like to keep it on standard dewarp. But I think if you're trying to do something more creative, you can probably have like that wide that gives you that fisheye lens. But for me personally, it's all about just keeping those lines straight and keeping things clean and getting some of that linear perspective out of my footage. So, I mean, that's pretty much it when it comes to my preference for like the settings that I'm using with this camera. Like I said, it's a great little camera, and given the right settings and given the right knowledge when it comes to like shooting footage, you can just get so much more out of this camera. But hopefully this video was helpful to anyone out there who's curious in my preferences for my settings for this camera right here, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.